Utah State basketball practices are underway, and some new faces, some old faces returning as well. Coach Odom is back for another season at Utah State. And Coach, first, let's just start off with, how was your off season in? I know it's a busy time trying to recruit players and assemble your roster, and also your schedule for the upcoming year. But what was the off season like for you?
It was a lot of fun. When you first take over a job and you're in year one. You can sometimes feel like you're, drinking water through a fire hose, and a little bit crazy trying to get adjusted. And we were really fortunate last year that, we inherited some great kids and, we had a fun season. We had a disappointing, end to the year, and certainly we wanted to continue to advance, in the NIT and also in the conference tournament. But we fared pretty well against a good Colorado State team, and they came out on top there on the last play. But the summer was good. Our guys worked really hard, and in the summers you're really trying to work on the individual player and try to help them improve on some of the areas that certainly need work. And then you're really trying to develop your team chemistry and get stronger, quicker, faster, tougher in the weight room. And so we feel like our guys did a great job of that this summer. They understand how hard it is to win in our league. And, the summer kind of in the spring and what now is the fall really prepare you for the tough Mountain West. And now we're beginning to put the pieces together and start our practices. So to answer your question, we tried to really focus on, being more connected and improving our culture and really diving into that while getting tougher collectively, and then implementing our new faces, into our program, which has been, seamless, quite honestly.
So what have been some of your early reactions to training camp? It's infant, it's pretty young, but a couple of practices in as a team, how's it going so far?
Yeah, it's going really well. Our guys have worked really hard so far, and as you would expect, in your first couple of practices. But, our guys have been back since, late August, the week before school started here. Our guys were back and kind of getting after it a little bit. And so we've been in the gym. It's not like we haven't been in the gym. They've been in the gym together as a team. And so, it's a little bit anticlimactic sometimes when, it's not like it used to be on October 15th, when, there's midnight madness and all that kind of stuff. You've kind of been going all summer and throughout the fall. You're just going more consecutive days now. And so I think that's the challenge. It's harder on your body, and our guys certainly are doing their best to make sure that they're healthy and recovering and doing all the right things nutrition-wise to keep themselves hydrated and ready for practices. And the practices are longer this time of year, and you're trying to put things in. You have to stand around sometimes to get that done, and it requires you to really recover quickly and get going and really focus mentally. I mean, you're kind of running the gamut, of physicality, banging against one another, but also having to use, your mind to really focus and remember, responsibilities, plays, and defensive coverages and all that kind of stuff. So feel good about where we're at in the first few days, and, really looking forward to, continue to develop the team.
Well, and I guess to that also, just, you've got more time to integrate the new players with ones you had coming back. So how has that been working and getting the new players up to speed with your style and how you want things to do? I mean, last year you were coming in and implementing something that was new to everybody. Well, most
No
everybody. I mean, Brandon Horvath and RJ notwithstanding. But
Yeah.
for this year, there's some more of that institutional muscle memory for some of these guys, but for others it is new.
Yeah, no question. And we certainly change things from year to year offensively and add new things, and certainly defensively as well. We try to, keep it fresh and make sure that what we're doing fits our personnel. And certainly this next year's team is going to be a little bit different. Our 5-man last year was Brandon Horvath. You would see him rebounding the ball and initiating offense and dribbling it up the court. may not see that quite as much, this year. There's probably only one 5-man that, would do that at this point, and that's Dan Ocken. Daniel, a little bit like Brandon, or a lot like Brandon, played for us at UMBC for 4 years, and he knows how we do things. Even though what we're doing is different and his teammates are different, he has a feel for how we coach, and so that's kind of old hat for him. It'll be pretty cool for us to finish it out his last year. Taylor Funk, Taylor, committed in April and was here a couple of weeks later, and so he really hit the ground running. He quite honestly, he hasn't even been home to Pennsylvania at this point.
Wow!
And so he's been here all summer. He's soaked in everything that Cache Valley and Utah in general have with his teammates. He's been to Bear Lake. He's done all kinds of stuff, and been in the gym, and in the weight room, and really developing that, chemistry that's so important, from a teammate's perspective. And so that's been huge. I mean, it's rare that you would ever, name a 1-year guy a captain. And, it was evident, to our staff and most importantly, his teammates, that needed to happen. And so we were able to name our 4 captains, Rylan Jones, Sean Bairstow, Stephen Ashworth, and obviously Taylor. It's really cool how we did it too. It was the first time we've ever done it this way, but we had, unbeknownst to our team, we had last year's captain, Miller and Justin Bean, announce the new captains, over a video. And it was a lot of fun, to kind of see our guys' reaction and just the responsibility and weight of that.
That was a cool reveal. That was cool. Saw you guys share that on social media. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so, there's a big responsibility to be a captain at Utah State. A lot of great players and coaches that have come before, and there'll be great ones after, our guys leave. And we want to make sure we're upholding that standard, that's been set here for us, and we want to try to increase it. And Taylor's been great. He can really shoot the basketball. He's an all-court player. He's different, than Bean. He's probably a combination of Bean and Brandon a little bit because he moves so well and he can handle. He's a sneaky rebounder. He scored 1,400 points in the Atlantic 10 Conference. Pretty good. Isaac Johnson's done really well. He's really happy here. Obviously a Utah kid, and did really well in high school, went on his mission, ends up at Oregon, and now is back with us, doing really well. Mason Falslev, local legend here, has really surprised, and I don't say that in a negative way. It's just, I didn't have the benefit of everybody here in Cache Valley watching him live, all of those years, and just to see the combination of athleticism and competitiveness and toughness that he brings. He's a guy that'll be a captain here one day at Utah State.
And that really kind of segues into one of the other questions I had for you, and I think you've already kind of alluded to it and answered it, but just how do you feel about the leadership of your team, the student-athlete leadership that you've got on your squad this year?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We love it. That's the easy answer. We love who we have in those positions. And some might say, well, why do you need 4 captains? You only have 13 guys on scholarship, 16 on the team. Well, every year is different. And last year it was important for us to, and with a new staff coming in and Brock and Bean had been here, I easily could have made Brandon a captain, but Brandon hadn't done anything here yet, at Utah State, nor had I. And I wanted to make sure that those guys, shared in that responsibility to kind of lead the team last year. And now Stephen's ready. Rylan's ready. Rylan grew up here. And Sean Bairstow, he's seen Mountain West championships and been a part of winning teams. He knows what it takes. And he knows how hard it is to win because he's seen what we went through last year and so many close losses. And so he's hungry. And, we have a saying in our locker room that, our guys see every single day. And it's all about our culture, and it's behaviors, that we tolerate, behaviors that we celebrate. And so that's our job, not just my job, but it's our team's job. It's certainly our captain's job to make sure that we're not tolerating anything that will lead us down a losing path, and that we're celebrating everything that we know is going to help us, compete for a Mountain West championship. And so it's a pretty simple concept. Our guys believe in it, and we're all in on it.
Pretty cool experience this last year for Max Schulga to go and represent his country, obviously with everything else that's going on at home for him. But cool to see him represent his country in some tournament internationally. What was that like for him, and how did that help his progression as a player?
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, when he first asked me, I was a little bit worried about it because I wasn't quite sure, where they were going to train and how that was going to go. And, they ended up starting in Italy, and then they finished, I think, Romania. I can't remember where it was. And then they went on to the tournament. And it was a great experience for him. I mean, for him to go into the under-20s and average close to 20 a game, I mean, that's pretty special. Not a lot of guys do that play in college. And those guys are probably playing in the NBA somewhere. And, if you had to ask me who's probably the most improved player so far, it's certainly him. He's a tough guard, at this point. And, he's really competing on both ends. He's a guy that our guys trust. And, we're excited that he's back here for another year. He actually got asked to play in the men's national team, later in August, and he had to decline that, just because we were starting school. But he'll be on that national team, in the future for sure. But expecting big things out of Max, as he's expecting big things from himself.
Coach, last question for me is, as I had a chance to go up and watch a little bit of your practice, looked like there were a couple guys who were not practicing. Just talk about the health of some of your players right now.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guys that are a little dinged up, which happens this time of year. Taylor and Rylan. Rylan should be out there next week. Pretty quick recovery just with turf toe. Not that that's anything to sneeze at. Certainly you don't want anybody to have an injury, but he'll be back out there. He's had an awesome summer. I mean, Rylan's done great. Steven had a broken wrist and was out for a long time over the summer, and now he's back out there. Been back out there for about a month or so and playing really good basketball. And Taylor's got a little bit of a fracture in his heel, but he'll be back, as soon as we can get him back. We're not exactly sure when that's going to be, but it certainly is tracking, before we begin our season. And that's why it was so important for him to get out here early. Unfortunate that he did that. But it's part of the game, and he's a veteran, and he'll be back and ready to roll.
I guess I lied. I have one last question. Just that you've got a cool opportunity coming up, and maybe it's not much of a question as much of an opportunity for you to talk about your event coming up next week, where folks can come out and see what this team looks like.
Yeah, no question. It's actually our first annual blue-white scrimmage, and we're doing it on homecoming. So, Aggie fans can come and have an opportunity to see us, compete against one another in sort of a pseudo-open practice. Obviously, we'll introduce the players, sign autographs. It'll be a fun day and a fun evening, and then we'll watch the Aggies go to war the next night in football. And obviously, it's a big weekend. That's not the only thing that's going on. We've got volleyball, I believe soccer as well, that weekend. So it'll be a big homecoming weekend. And for any Aggies that are coming back in town for that or live in Cache Valley that want to come, 7 o'clock Friday night should be a lot of fun. We are not doing an exhibition game. Typically, we would play one, against a non-Division One, like we did last year. This year, we're going to have 2 closed scrimmages against Power 5 teams. So that'll be a good opportunity for us to kind of test where we are. So if you're wanting to see us before Game 1, you need to get out next Friday night at 7 o'clock in the Spectrum.
Coach, always a pleasure. Appreciate you spending some time with us, and enjoy your weekend and keep working on those kids during this training camp.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. Take care.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.